Hey, what's going on, man?
What up, son? How you
You all right?
doing?
I'm good.
All right,
I'm good. I'm good.
dude. You okay? How's the family? I haven't seen you in so long, brother.
Man, it's been like what? Like 7, 8 years? Something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it's
I
been
don't
about that long.
know. You come, you go. You're like but we talk on the phone like every
Yeah, yeah.
now and then,
Definitely,
But
yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen you in a minute.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know? How's the family?
They're good. They're good,
They're good.
Yeah, my girls are living out in Burlington and my son's like down the street. I just actually brought him back to his mom, so like I'm good. I'm
Okay.
good.
Oh, you're living a good life. You're living
Hmm.
a good life, brothers.
Hmm.
You're living a good life. I see you making the moves and the other day and that's what I want to touch on, but we'll get on that later on because I saw
Sure.
you making some moves.
We can talk about anything, man. We're good. I'm good.
You're good.
Yeah.
Listen, before we start, for
Hmm.
years, like I never really get I got a couple interviews, people asking for a couple interviews, and I've thrown the name out there, but they've never known and understand. But I believe in these times, and this is what Wizology Show is about. If people don't know, this man that I'm speaking to is the man that started DJ Wiz in the whole radio business. This is the man
I wouldn't
that
say
gave
that.
me.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that.
No,
I mean,
bro. No, I was Joyride before anybody.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, but
So
yeah, I
I
wouldn't say that though. I mean, but you had a love for radio though. I mean, so basically all I did was I opened the door. I just opened the door, and I said it to everybody. You know what I mean? If you come to me, whatever, I'm gonna open the door. I'm never gonna close the door on you. I mean, it's kind of like Roxanne Shante says. You know what I mean? I gave birth to many MCs. So as far as DJs are concerned, or people who are in radio, I'm
yeah.
supposed to open the door because I'm not gonna be here forever. My life on this planet is not forever. Tomorrow's promised to no one. So
Yes.
I'm supposed to make sure that when
Yeah.
I'm gone, somebody's there already. You know what I mean? It's always
Yeah.
next man up, next woman up. So that's kind of the way I
Yeah.
look at it. It's never supposed to just be me doing this thing. You know?
Yeah, and I get that. But you gave me the opportunity, and I don't. Up to this day, I'm not even remembering how we met. I
I
just
don't
don't.
know. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I know how the controversial topic started. I know how
Yeah.
but as far as I'm just trying to think, you were friends with somebody that I'm friends with, and I think you guys just came down to the radio station to hang. And then somebody said, "Well, this guy can spin music. Can I come down and play some records?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And that's kind of the way I was back then. I still am. Yeah, come true.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how I started in radio. I mean, I called Ron Nelson on the phone, like I won some tickets on his show,
Yeah.
and I just went and I just said, "Hey, can I come down there and see the radio station?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, sure." And that's kind of how my career in radio started too, just by asking.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it. I thought it
Mhm.
was a dream. But people don't know we started a whole different radio before WBLK. And people don't believe me when I said Joyride Show started the club presence of radio. We switched it. I believe we set that game. We set that bar.
I would say it was more. I would say it was more of a. We actually brought to the people.
Okay, fair enough.
Music, dialogue, and controversy all at the same time. And
Right.
we didn't do it in a way where it was always one particular type of topic, one typical type of
Yeah.
conversation. It spanned different aspects. It wasn't always about relationships. It was always about man. It wasn't always about different things. As the show evolved over a period of time, I got away from some of the things that Black people tend to always want to focus on, and tried to focus
Right.
in on what is outside, the box that we're normally put into. I didn't want to talk about violence. I didn't want to talk about relationship. I didn't want to talk about, unwed mothers or pregnancies or whatever the case may be. I was interested in generational wealth. I was interested in, hey, let's break down these barriers that we have where, remember there was a big thing that used to happen a while back when there was a topic that I brought up. It said that Africans don't like West Indian blacks, and I was like, I don't believe that's true. So I actually brought people on and I said, why? And asked that question, and just
Right.
put two people, you know, and then had that sort of thing. But it
Yeah.
was one of those things that there's some things that we talked about, and then when you went and did the show with Richard and stuff, that I talked about afterwards, that I still see people today who said, when I was going to York University or when I was in high school, or some people even say, hey, like, you know, my mom talks about listening to you when I was a baby, type of thing. So
Yeah.
it feels nice to have that kind of, let's say, cross-generational, cross referencing. Not all the people that I broadcasted to were black. I remember this one time this guy called me up and he's like, hey, I want that Words from the Frontline Malcolm X tapes that you have. Can I get a copy of them? And I'm like, okay, cool. And I went out and I met this guy, and I'm looking around, I'm walking around. I'm like, okay, you know, where's this dude? Right? All I see is this white guy at the corner. And I'm like, where's this? I'm like, I'm calling him out on the phone, like, Reds, where you at? And he's like,
Yeah.
He's like, Manacana. And it was like this white Jamaican guy, right? And I was like, I said, Cat? He's like, yeah. And I gave him the thing, and that's it. And that was it. And he was a loyal listener to the show. But you know, that's it. But it's your show. You ask the questions. I'm just here.
No, man, I'm listening to you because this is what Wizology show is about, is just hearing the stories, the good and the bad. And I mean, I'm a man who seeks to give credit where credit is due. And I owe, like, you've never asked for anything. I don't feel like I owe you. I feel like I just need to thank you for the opportunity that you've given me, and I've now expanded on that. But it was you. It was you that set that door for me and set that bar. And I mean, even when we did the show, we had a good run. I mean, I was only helping out Richard, right? But I always loved the joyride. We were there at the station because I loved it so much. I mean, you'd be going home, and I still have to end up helping Richard.
Yeah.
10.
I was not, listen, it wasn't home. It was basically leave the show and go to work. You know what I mean? I started at, like, I remember that was like the longest day of my life, to be honest. It was like, I remember the guys before us, they had a show and they never used to show up. So sometimes we used to get there and our show was supposed to be from 2 to 7 in the morning, but sometimes we'd start at like 1, sometimes we'd start at like 12 because somebody wouldn't show up, and we're going like all the time. I remember this one day we started at 1 and the next show didn't even start, so we didn't leave till 12 that afternoon. Or the snowstorm. When I started my car from 4 o'clock in the morning to get, you know, no, sorry, I started late at, no, it was Richard. Richard was there. Richard came as well too. Richard was there, but I think I got to the station. I don't know how you got there. I don't know if you got a ride or I picked you up, whatever, but I left the car running for like the whole, I don't think it was the whole show, but I remember I started it at around 4 o'clock in the morning to warm it back up so that when we're leaving, the car would be warm again. Because it was like minus 40 degrees outside. It was crazy. It was crazy. You know? Or the times when you would say, hey, Jonathan, drop me off. And I'm like, okay, I'm dropping you off. And I'm like, yeah, man, this turn here. I'm like, Bridget, if you live around the corner, just say you live around the corner. Man, I turned about 10 corners trying to get to you. It was funny. It was funny.
Yo, I'm telling you, for a show that happened 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, for 2 o'clock in the morning, listenership was by far, like, we had some loyal listeners. People go literally put on alarm clocks and wake up, work or no work. They literally stayed awake, or they went to sleep and woke up for our show. And like, I took pride in that.
Big up Geneva. I remember Geneva used to call all the time. This girl named Geneva. I've never met her, but Geneva used to call all the time, like every single show.
And we had Poison and Big Move.
Boys and Big Move, yeah. Boys and Big Move, yeah.
You and I were there, and it was like we had the callers, and you know, Karen taped every show. Like she just taped every single show. I'm like, bro, I think our show was I would say it's a statue of monument that was really for the city. Like I mean,
For
it's
that
something that
time,
was so
yeah,
different.
for that time, college radio was everything in the city of Toronto. You could sell out you could sell out arenas with college radio. Something you can't do now because
Right.
the whole city was like locked into CKLN, CIUT, um, CHRY, and wherever they could get music that was either appropriate to them, music that they felt, information, and it was an interesting time. Those times will never come again because we all don't do the same things. People can listen to radio, people can listen to satellite radio, people can listen to the internet, people can just go on their phone and download the music they want to do. They can use Spotify, they can use this, they can use all these different platforms. So it's not as cohesive as it once was. You know what I mean?
Right.
And again, how we were able to take a problem and make it into something was also unique in the sense that if you remember, we started doing a controversial topic because the turntable broke, and we had to fill 7 hours of programming just talking back and forth and bantering and opening up the phone lines and saying, hey, and making it interesting and basically just going off the fly with no show prep because the show prep was playing music, which is,
Right.
Again, when you flip from playing music to talking for 7 hours, it's a whole
7
different
hours.
ball of wax.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. It is what it is.
Were you ever nervous when I started talking? Because I just went off the hook sometimes.
Man, okay. The grounds what I may say me incriminate. Yes. The first time when you brought up that whole conversation, which I will not bring up right now. Yeah, that was yeah.
Yo,
But again, we're younger.
Yeah.
We're talking basically 25 years ago, where this whole thing kind of culminated. So it was a very interesting time. So you back up 25 years ago, the world was a different place. There's certain things that weren't friendly for radio at the time.
Right.
Or things that we wouldn't talk about, things that now people talk about all the time.
Yeah.
But at that time, you couldn't bring up certain topics, and if you did, people like, yo, man, I'm not doing them things there. No, man, no. Why are them people on the radio for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a whole different ball of wax. But again, the one.
But now,
that's
what everyone's talking about. Like those
True.
are some of the conversations that they need to have now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The
conversation. I remember one of the three shows in my time at CHRY that I remember fondly is one where the first one was sexual abuse within the Black community, where women had been raped, women had been molested, women had been dealt with. And I tried to get somebody from the Rape Crisis Center who was Black to come on the show. And they didn't have anybody at that time who was Black that wanted to come down, who wanted to come down to York University at that time in the morning to talk about stuff because, the Joyride show went from 2 to 7 and then it changed from 7 to 10. And nobody wanted to come on the radio, whether it be late night or early in the morning. They just didn't want to do it because, again, people have to work. And then I just said, okay, well, you know what? I'm just going to open up the phone lines and just deal with it. And the amount of women who called, I had to do that show for 3 weeks, of women who just called from the Black community who had been molested by their fathers, their uncles, their brothers, and all this sort of stuff, and living with that. And I got letters. I had people who came to the station and said, and rolled up their hand, rolled their arm, and had like cut marks on their arm. And I remember going on the phone and calling the Rape Crisis Center and having to sit there with a woman on the phone and say, I have a young lady on the phone who's been cutting herself because she's dealing with pain. People who suffered from anorexia and bulimia. People who had been gotten pregnant by their fathers, their uncles. You know what I mean? and having to sit on the phone and hear their stories, and then, you know, saying, okay, I'll be here for you, because they didn't want to do it. I remember bringing up having a person who was from the LGBTQ community and a person who was a minister, and they both were talking back and forth about that. Also talking about homosexuality within the Black community and bringing on Black Cap, something that was never done before, because Black people did not want to talk about that, period. And now it's a topic that comes up all the time, right? You know, I mean, we were at that time the marginalized community. We had no other outlet to speak about what we wanted to talk about. And even still now today, we still are that community that does not have the ability to talk freely about what bothers us. And the one thing that I say to every single person is, one, document your life. Your history means something. Two, always make sure that you control your narrative of what you put out in the universe. If you put stuff out on social media, you know, and then you forget your password, it's there for life. And you go to apply for a job, they're like, and trust me, I work in media, and I'm able to find whatever on you that I need to find. If you've been to court, that's public record. If you owe child support, that's public record. And that stuff is there for life. And trust me, there are departments in media that are just looking for that tweet that you did back when you were 15 and put that on blast. You know, and that's just the way it is. Simple.
Wow. Wow, that's deep. I didn't know it was so deep like that. I knew it was deep, I didn't know it was so deep like that. And you know, I mean,
and then the transition from college radio to commercial radio is night and day. Yeah. It's night and day. That's a whole other animal. But again, whatever you want to talk about, we'll do it.
You know, listen, we had I think a good, I'm not sure if it was 5 to 6 years of run on the Joyride that you were doing it much longer for. And then when I
was at CHRY off and on from 1987 until 2001 when I left to go to Flow. But if I did not get on Flow, I would have left CHRY. I was done. I was very much done doing what I was doing. I did not want to be furniture on radio doing that anymore. I wanted to aspire to something else. I never wanted to be a broadcaster on the radio. I never wanted to be that person behind the mic. I wanted to be, I always wanted to be the George Lucas to the Luke Skywalkers, to the Darth Vaders. I wanted to be the person pushing the buttons. You know?
I noticed that.
I noticed that. I never wanted to be.
You never wanted to speak. You always just wanted to play. It's like when we played out in the dance, I was always talking on the talkaphone. You never wanted to speak, ever. You were always behind.
Because talk is an interruption to music. Let the tracks run. Stop the talking. Let your music speak for yourself. I've always wanted to do a dance and call it plug out the mic. I want to do a dance, plug in the mic, and just show what you can do on the turntables. If you're wicked at playing, then don't talk. You don't need to talk. You don't need to talk. I don't need to have a person tell me wheel a record. The crowd will sing the song, and I'll just pick up the needle like this and wait for them to stop and put it down. And I call it my article wheel, because I don't need, you know what I mean? Yeah, people, talk, whatever. That's their thing. That's their shtick. That's what they do. For me, I was always taught in radio broadcasting, do not talk over the music. You talk up into the post. The post is the instrumental up into the vocal, and once that vocal hits, if you trample over that, you'll get a tap. You get a tap on your shoulder from the program director and be like, "Can you explain why you needed to talk over the first 5 seconds? Why you need to talk over more parts of the music?" We don't want that. Breaks on radio are no more than 45 to a minute at length. That's it. Unless you have something wicked to say. If you're going into like a minute 30 or 2 minutes, again, Promote.
That's a lesson just learned again.
You know, yeah, man. When people say, "Hey, I want to interview on the radio," we're like, "For what?" "Oh, I have a CD coming out." "Are you Jay-Z?" "No." "So why do you want to interview?" I said, "You're college radio. You can do that. College radio is about foregrounding, talking about stuff, programming, whatever. Commercial radio is about money. It's about advertising. It's about people listening. It's about playing tracks. You talking is an interruption to the music. Unless you have Jay-Z status or Beanie Man status or Bounty Killer status, or if you have, listen, I remember Dougie Fresh in Toronto wanting to come on the radio. And they're like, nope, Dougie Fresh doesn't have anything out new. Okay, he's here, wonderful. But what does he have what does he have right now? What does he have right now? I mean, yeah, he's Dougie Fresh, but no, we have our program, and we're not spending, that money to do it. And I mean, I'm like, that's Dougie Fresh. That's the first, you know what I mean? 6 minutes, Dougie. They were grade 17. We're not trying to hear it. The program director was like, nope, sorry.
I'm in awe. I'm in awe right now. No, I'm in awe.
Guys would come to me with their CD. They give it. I'm at a dance and they give me their CD, and I look at it and I go, "Is it clean?" "No." "Sorry, here you go. You can't play my CD." I'm like, "Brethren, look. I play on a commercial radio station where everything has to be edited. If you're going to give me a CD and not submit it to the proper channels like you're supposed to, because there's a big thing on the website that says, please insert this thing right here," right? They don't want to do it. Yeah. And they give me their CD and whatever the case may be, and I'm like, okay, it's not even clean. It's not clean, whatever. And I listen to the CD. I'm like, sorry, dude, you didn't master this properly. It doesn't sound great. I'm like, what? You can't play my CD. You can't play my this. You can't play. I'm like, I'm at a top 40 radio station now. We don't play that type of music. And even if I was at a radio station right now that played that type of music, I don't make those type of decisions. There's a committee that deals with that. Is your CD available? Is it on BDS? No. Is it on SOCAN? No. Sorry, I can't use this because we can't track it. We can't pay you. You want to get money for your music, right? Yeah.
Right.
And also, it doesn't make my format. What do you mean you can't play my CD? I'm like, brethren, in the height of his career, Michael Jackson was not played on Q107. Why? Because they play rock music. Simple. If you're a reggae artist and I'm playing at a top 40 format, what reggae artists you hear on top 40 radio? Well, they should change up their thing. I said, really? How much money are you spending? How much money you spend? You paying my salary? Because I know you ain't paying my salary. You know what I mean? And I don't want to talk like that with people, but they have this mentality that because they went into they recorded something, we must play it. I said, I'm a DJ. I don't play every song that Jay-Z ever put out. I don't play every song that Beanie Man put out. I don't play every song that Marshall Montano put out. I play the hits, right? You play a whack record, everybody like, right?
Yeah.
Or worse yet, pull out a buckle of shandy. If you don't know what a buckle of shandy is, I'll go get one right now and show you. You know the shandy buckle like this.
Yeah. They're ready to fling it after you, right?
You know what I mean? When black people, when you are performing good, you're like, that's not clapping you. That's telling you, okay, your time's done. Come on, whatever. That's it. And on radio, people they go, and they're on to the next radio station. Simple. That's exactly what it is. And people don't realize that. I said, people want to talk about radio station this and how come they're not doing this and whatever. I said, very simple. 80%, not even 75 anymore, 80% of your advertising dollar comes from the agencies. And all they care about is the top 10 radio stations in the city, right? When you actually see the numbers of who listens to what, I'm on CHY thinking, oh yeah, my phone's this and hey, whatever. I'm like, whoa, we only have that. We're not even charted. We're not even on the list. We don't have enough listeners that even are charted at that time was a BBM. As much as people love to say, yeah, man, my show was popular, I'm on CHY, my phone. No, I'm sorry. You don't make the top 10. You don't make the top 10. And Agencies do not care what music you play. They don't care. All they care about is, do you have a cume? A cume is a cumulative audience in an area. If I put my commercial on the radio, how many people will listen to that commercial? That's all they care about. They want to have GPs. That's all they care about. 20% of the advertising dollar for a radio station to survive comes from, listen to this, small businesses. Small businesses do at least $5 million of gross revenue a year. 5 million. Okay?
Okay.
That's it. Then the other tier underneath that are the mom and pop shops. Mom and pop shops are come to Joe's West Indian Fish Market.
Right.
And radio stations cannot survive with the mom and pops. It doesn't matter how packed you see, you know, a West Indian food place or that, whatever. They do not have the money to sustain. I've had promoters come to me and say, "Hey, I'm spending big money on the radio station." I said, "Regin, you did a buy for $600, man. You did a buy for $600. How you know that? I saw your contract. That's what I do. I administer the commercials. I know what you guys spend, right?
Yeah.
Rogers is spending 10 grand a week. You're spending $600 a month. There's a big difference. Radio stations cannot survive on the small things. They can't. Why is it that you think every year CHRY used to do that fundraiser?
Fundraising, yeah.
Right? And you know that from your experience during fundraising, yeah, okay, you got your target. Okay, you got your target. Then when they collect the money, the bounce checks come. The people don't pay the pledge. Tell me if I'm lying. We're being real, right? We're having a real conversation.
I'm flashing back to those days,
okay,
and I'm like,
real.
I remember.
Okay, we had one phone line. Why do we have one phone line? Because they couldn't afford a phone that had two. And then finally they got two phone lines in the place. We're like, oh, thank you, God. When I was leaving, that was like the Christmas present for the station. They had the two phone lines for the CHRY. Real talk.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the rest of the money came from the student body or the station, you know, at York University. And I mean, you could be at York University doing radio from 1987 and have your show, and nobody's gonna pull you aside and say, "We need to air check your show." And people be like, "What the hell is an air check?" An air check is to make sure that you are actually talking with intelligence on the radio. People are playing music, and music is fun. But again, separate the music from the announcer. All announcers are paid to do is to be informative. That's why if I'm doing, let's say the time right now is 8:57, I would be on the radio and say, "Hey, you're listening to JUICEMAN Jonathan Shaw, 106.5. Coming up next hour, we're going to give you a chance to win $50,000. Stay tuned." Okay?
That's it.
For the whole, listen, so that I keep you listening, I'm going to keep bringing that up until the last quarter hour where I'm going to give that away. Because I want you to listen. Because radio hosts are graded every 15 minutes. And as long as even if you parachute in for 5 minutes, that counts for 15. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? You can't compete. College radio can't compete with a radio station that is giving out, "Oh, well, hey, you know, we'll give you, if you pledge $105, you get a sweatshirt." Okay. But then there's another radio station that's saying, "You have a chance of winning $1 million. Where do you think everybody's going?
Wow.
They don't care about the music.
This reality's hitting hard. I'm taking it in. I'm understanding. This reality's hitting hard. It's hard.
You know.
It's a reality that a lot of people need to understand. and take in. And I think Danae and Randy have been trying to explain this kind of way to me and teach me this way, because that they've been saying, like, you know, and this is why I changed from how I was on Joyride with the mixing and everything. I don't mix. I just play music. And now I'm learning talking is less. Talking is more. Less talking is more. It's more music.
There's a reason why talk formats do well for certain aspects and then they don't do well in other aspects. They do well in different blocks or different segments. And
right.
Talk is usually, again, talk is for AM radio. Talk is not supposed to be on FM. For the general reason that FM radio is all about, supposed to be music. AM radio, you can do the talk formats, you can do the news. There's a reason why Rogers owns many different radio stations. If they really wanted a stereo broadcast of 680 news, they would have put them on FM. But they don't. They make it on AM because it's a format that lends itself to that. You know, if you want to do a podcast, you can do long talking on there. But commercial radio is about in and out. Even if a song doesn't start off like blam, I have to fault that and say to the person who's putting the songs in, Regin, like, why do you have like a 15-minute lead in? Like, I listen to people's songs and it has this quiet intro, like, I'm like, okay, when's it gonna pick up? When's it gonna pick up? I'm like, we have to cut all that off at the beginning because the hard-hitting part of the song has to just come, like, whatever. And
okay,
go ahead,
Juice. Let me ask you something. Reggae.
Yes.
Reggae is a vibe. I mean, I'm learning now how to, and it's something Danae's that learning how to pick out the hits. Not every rhythm plays. I don't believe in all that anymore. I'm done with that. That is done to me.
Correct.
Reggae, though, has a different informative movement. And it's very hard. You know, we like the mixing. I don't do the pull-up thing anymore. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. That's not on my show. So we're done with that. But and I realize, but reggae has this different energy. Now going into a top 40 in a station, you know, a lot of people, that's what they all do. I've learned something tonight, right here, right now, about the whole interview scheming thing. Because everybody wants an interview. Everybody wants to be talked and discussed about.
Facts.
I'm here in the city. I've tried to play songs now, but of course my slogan is Wiz breaks artists, Wiz breaks hits. Right? Okay. And you always want to try and break something brand new. I listen to the top 40s. I've listened to the other radio stations. I've even taken some tweaks from them because if we don't, they're exceptional in what they do. So you have to be able to take tweaks from them. And I've listened to them, and it's the same song over and over. Doesn't matter if it's a hit. It's all day long. It's within the hour. It's played twice. It's played 3 times. Then it is what it is.
Hit stations play a song maybe about 115 to 120 times a week.
A week.
A week.
A week.
So like, let's say a Kiss 92 was playing, like when they're playing, like when they were like, Kiss 92 plays the best hit music, so give me my money. They played a song like 120 times a week. Like, you know, that's what they did, you know?
Right.
And that's the way it was. Now, with reggae music, a reggae song generally is maybe about 2 minutes and 50 seconds long. That's just the general everyday reggae song, whatever. I'm going to ask you a question. Usually, if you're programming an hour, you program maybe 14 songs an hour. Okay? How many of those reggae songs that you played, you could really listen to from itchy scratchy to itchy scratchy for 2 minutes and 50 seconds, knowing that when you buy or you listen to a reggae mix, they're playing maybe 22 to 36 seconds of that song, and blam, it goes into the next song. Think about that for a second. What commercial radio station is going to take that 2 minute and 50 song and play it on the radio when you aren't even playing it for more than 36 seconds?
Yeah, well, that was then. So
But
I have to
you
go
hear what
back
I'm
then.
saying? Understood.
And I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Because
So now,
this mixing, it got
yeah.
out of hand.
So now somebody gives you a CD and says, "Hey, play a song on this," and you're listening to that song like this right now. So one of the reasons why I don't like, I'm glad I'm not a music director for a radio station, because working at a radio station has made me listen to music differently than how I used to. I don't listen to music as a fan anymore. I listen to it to pick it apart. I listen to it to hear if it follows the format of a radio station hit. And certain songs have that hit quality or that hit factor, and others just don't. Other songs have maybe like a week shelf life, and other songs may have a couple months, and other songs are what you call gold or recurrent. And that's it. You have your A category songs, your recurrent songs, and then your gold category. And then maybe you have some new hits that come in. And outside of that, that's it. That's it, right? Now, as big of a song that Toast was last year,
yeah,
a lot of radio stations said, no, we're not playing that. It's too repetitive, and after a while, you can listen to that song, but you weren't listening to the whole 3 minutes of that song. That's why there's so many different remixes. There's so many different things on it. And again, it was a big song. It was a wicked tune, but I can't listen to that whole song for 3 minutes over a period of time. And that's what happens with music. And that's one of the reasons why there's songs when I mean, if you go to any record pools will have songs that will say, where does this song fit? Is it a club banger? Is it for podcasting? Is it for college radio? Or is it something that you can play mainstream? And there's not a lot of songs that are mainstream. Like when you think of all the music you bought over the years, whether it be, S&W, Record Factory, Treasure Hour Records, Mellow Music, Mississauga, Music Beats, Music Palace, and all those places where we used to buy reggae music and all those things. And even, there was no record pools back then. We had to buy everything. And I remember the first time I got servicing from VP, I was like, oh my God. You know what I mean? I felt like I won the lottery. And I got 10 records. I was like, okay, great, I got it. But of those songs that you played, when you think about reggae music or dancehall, I remember I said this to somebody and they said, Jonathan, you're lying. I'm going to ask you a question. In your opinion, what was Bounty Killer's #1 song of all time? I'll wait.
Living Dangerously with Barrington. Exactly.
How many units did he sell of that particular album worldwide? I think it was Mystery is the Man, right? How much units do you think he sold worldwide? I'll wait.
60, 70,000, if I'm lucky.
Lower than that.
Yeah.
45,000 units worldwide. This is Bounty Killer. You know what I mean?
Wow.
My experience. Thank you for the heads up on that. Analog sound.
Yeah.
Okay. That album.
Yeah.
45,000 units.
Wow.
You know why? Because we don't buy music. We tape off our friends. That song was on dub plates. And again, what's happening in the industry right now, and it's been talked about by many other people besides myself, is once the 45 comes out or the song comes out, you want the dub. So you start playing the dub on the radio. The artist doesn't make any money off of your dub besides the money that you got paid for, but you want to play it because it's special. So you start playing specials. The 45 in that song doesn't get the love that he used to get when artists were playing that particular song. and that's it. So the industry has changed again in a way where, you know what I mean, the artists are not making money off of streaming. Reggae artists aren't making money off of streaming. They're not selling CDs. They're not making money off of downloads because people are just ripping off of YouTube. So guess what? The only way the artist is going to make some money is if they do a show or a dub plate. Well, there's no shows no more, so it's dub plates. And now nobody really wants a dub plate because where are they playing it? Where are they playing it?
Nowhere.
You know what I mean? So the whole music has just, you know, whatever. Dub plates or specials used to be a man would just have a song, and before it was released to the public, he would say, "Hey, this song, I did it for whatever, blah blah blah." And it basically was an intro. It was never supposed to be a killing thing. I mean, you know what I mean? And now that whole Sound Clash thing that used to be a thing we used to remember. There was a time when with Sound Clash you used to dress up. You know what I mean? And there'd be girls there and stuff like that. There'd be so many girls and whatever. Them days are gone, boss. It's like a bull party now. It's straight bull party.
So, Juice, the way I'm analyzing this thing right here, right now, is basically you're saying dub plates might be the down solution.
No, I'm not
downgrade.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that when you're looking at the aspect of music, when you're looking at music is supposed to be something that you listen to. Music is supposed to bring on a certain energy. Music is supposed to heal. Music has always been the healing of the nation. You know, music is no matter how bad your life is. I remember being in Epiphany, and I heard Bears Hammond come with the song "Over You," and I'd been in a bad relationship, and I heard that song "Over You." I remember I was like, "Yo, drinks for everybody, drinks for everybody, drinks for everybody," because I was like, that song just said everything to me. That song said everything to me. And music is supposed to feel like that way. Do you remember the day when you got that 12-inch and it just made all your records just feel better? Like you played better. You played better. You got that record you always wanted. It made you feel better. Or you bought that Technique 1200 and you popped open the thing and you smelled the new rubber on the turntable and you didn't even use the rubber because nobody used the rubber on the 1200. They just take the rubber off and dash it. But just to smell that new rubber that came out, you're like, oh my goodness. And you hook up those two 1200s and you're like, you know what I mean? Or you do a dance and you forget the 45 center.
Right.
And when you forget that 45 center, you're trying to go find some scissors and some cardboard to make that circle, or you have one and you're pulling the 45 center from one to another. Or if you if you go down to record factory, and you're the last man in line, and they have the 45, the pepper seed rhythm comes out, and the Buju remember the Buju came out last. It didn't even come out on the album. Buju came out last, and you're waiting for that record like this, but all the other sound men are in front of you, and you have to wait your turn to get that 45, and you go up to Dongadi you gotta go up to Dongadi like, yo man, it finished, and you're like, Bunny Gemini's in the back, and you're like, Bunny, Queenie, please, just give me the 45. I've been playing a Vertigo tonight. Give me the 45. And they're like, sell off, man. Sell off, man.
Yo, thank God for Queenie. Thank God for Queenie.
You know what I mean?
Mom, I'm at work. All right, don't worry. I'll put it aside. Thank God for Queenie.
The day I found out that Bunny Gemini was family to my girlfriend. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
Your mom.
What? What?
Your boss.
What?
Yeah.
Listen, I was happy. Listen, you understand. Listen, I was happy. Oh.
Yeah. That was good.
Or you found that, listen, I remember the day I was always in search of Phyllis Hyman's album. Not Phyllis Hyman. Patti LaBelle's album. I think it's I'm in Love. And it had Love Need Want on one side, and on the flip side it had If Only You Knew. I remember when I finally got that record, I slept with it beside my bed. That's how much I treasured my records. You know what I mean? Those days will never come again. A guy who's never DJ'd before in his life can get a gig at a club and have no music and download his music all day, go buy a controller, go buy a laptop, and be playing a dance and have more music than you did in your whole entire life. He can go to somebody and say, hey, give me a rub off your hard drive. Give him a couple $100 and he has more music than you.
It's bad. It's bad.
That's the industry, boss. That's the industry.
It's bad. It's awful. It's awful. You know, as we go into, I don't, you know, there's so much more to talk about the radio aspect. So,
okay.
But I'm listening to you because, you know, what you're saying and preaching here tonight, I think the world should be tuning in and listening to and understanding what these facts that you're preaching here tonight. When you first started playing out in the things, I found that you were very timid and you didn't like it to go out to play out. I mean, you were the one that helped me change my whole outlook of things, because remember our baggy jeans, hoods and stuff like that, and you were like, no, if you're going to come out, bro, we have to dress accordingly.
Put the suit on, boss. Put the suit on, boss.
Yeah, you were the one. The people don't know you were the one that told me. We talked on the phone for hours. I'm like, Juice, I'm not that guy. No,
we're going to a restaurant. It's outside in. You know, you're eating with, you know, with the forks and stuff like that. It's outside in. We do dinner and dance.
Yo, you taught me all of that. People don't know you taught me all of that.
I always said I always said dress for the job you're going to get, not, you know, whatever. Yeah. And every single gig you do is your resume for the next one. So show up on time. Show up on time. You don't have to be the best DJ. You just have to be on time, right? There's only two types of time: on time and late. You know, in radio, and one thing I used to say to you in radio is this: write your show. Write your show for next day. Write what you're gonna do. So when you crack that mic, you're not swimming. You're not swimming. Yeah. That's a terminology in radio. Do not swim on radio. Don't swim on radio. Don't crack the mic and you have nothing to say.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
Learn how to DJ with somebody tapping in your back, right? Learn how to DJ with somebody, like, you know, taking their phone and putting, and I hate this actually, where somebody wants you to read their phone and they do this to you while you're DJing, or they pull your hands, right? That's why I used to have this look on my face when I used to DJ, like, I would not smile, I wouldn't talk, because I used to go into a dance like I'm going to kill somebody. Like that was my look on my face, like, don't talk to me, don't do anything. I am working. I'm not here for fun. I'm not here to count cow. I'm here to drink milk. Just give me my paycheck at the end of it. I'm done. I don't want to hear about this thing, whatever. And if another sound man want to come to me and want to go test me, okay, cool. We're going at it. We're going at it. Right?
So this is, I don't mean to cut you, but now everybody can understand why I come to dance. I don't smile with people. I don't laugh. I don't do the dancing.
I'm not here for friends. I'm not here for friends. I'm here. I'm here to entertain. I'm here to entertain. Music is my air. It's that simple. You know what I mean? I'm here to perform. I'm an entertainer, right? I'm not looking friend. I'm not looking friend. I'm looking to entertain the crowd. As long as they're dancing, that's it. I'm not here for friend. I'm not here to meet no gal. I'm here to kill the people. I want, if you still have a perm, you come home and your hair is all mashed up. You know what I mean? You're sweating. Listen, guys guys would have to go to their car and get a new shirt to put on because they're sweating. They're sweating down to their brief. That's the way a party's supposed to be. You're sweating, not their pose up like this and whatever. No selfie thing. That's not what we're doing. We're here to dance. If you're hanging up the wall, you're missing the point of having a good time. And that's all I'm here to do. That's it. Simple.
Listen, Juice, when we were hanging and I was like, we were that. Because you said, when we reach a party, we don't care who's there. We're there at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock. We're there.
There's
We
no
reach
warm up,
on
and
time.
there's
We
no
do
warm up.
this.
There's
We
no
set,
warm up.
there's
There's
nothing.
no
Nothing
warm
anymore.
up.
We're partying from beginning to thing.
You know
So
what I mean?
I'm like,
Listen, we have too much music not to just drop hits after hits after hits. There's no way, there's no
so
reason why we have to play, some filler downbeat music. No, don't do that. I remember one of those things. That's one of the things I learned from Barry Booth, from TKO. Do not
yeah.
play no downbeat. Don't do it. Don't play like a faster record and all of a sudden you cut to something slow and everybody looks at you like, oh, what am I doing? Don't do it. Don't do it. You know what I mean? Play the music. Make the play, whatever. When you hear another DJ play, and
Yeah.
and another thing too, sometimes take a night off just to go hear other people play. So you hear their different styles, hear what else is happening. Go to a different country, see what music they have, right?
Wait,
That's
wait,
all.
hold that
Yeah.
thought. We're going to restart the live because time is going to done. We're going to restart. You can come back.
Yeah, man, of course. Of course.